Live from Soho, New York City, it's Wearable Electronics and Becky Stern.
Hello, everybody. It's February 11th. We're here live again in snowy, slushy, cold New York City. With me is Mr. Lady himself, Phil. What's on today's show, Phil?
It's a good question. I'm glad you've asked. On today's show, we're going to have Wearable Wednesday.
We're going to debut a new project that's conducted thread sewing, just like you guys like.
Component of the week.
It's a sunny side up egg. An electronics component you'll learn about later.
Wakey wakey, eggs and Becky. Tools we love.
Scissors. We're going to go over my favorite scissors and what I use them for.
And questions and answers. You got questions. Becky probably most likely has the answers.
I totally have answers to your questions. If you have wearable electronics questions, you can ask them in the comments at any time. We'll answer them on a future show, making you eligible to win this show's giveaway. Today it's a Flora.
That's right. All that and more on Wearable Electronics and Becky Stern.
Dun, 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 dun. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Happy February.
I just want to point out I was never shot down in a helicopter in another country, so I will continue to be doing my co-hosting duties.
I will continue to tell people when they ask me what happened to my knees that I was bitten by a shark.
Okay. News you can trust. Wearables you can wear.
It's totally not true. I was not bitten by a shark. You guys know that, but anybody else who asks me, I just go, shark bite.
Yeah.
Let's change the subject.
Yeah. All right, so let's kick it off. Let's pay some bills.
The code today is hoodie. If you want to get 10% off your Adafruit order today, it says for Flora and wearables, but it's really for everything except software and gift certificates. You can get 10% off using code hoodie today. We'll find out why in a little bit, in a moment.
Okay. First up, Wearable Wednesday.
Every week on the Adafruit blog, we post up wearable electronics projects. So many that we can't count them. Actually, we do count them. The number of wearables blog posts is in the thousands range. 1100 range on the Adafruit blog.
That's great.
Yeah, so if you click the link in the description to our wearables blog archive, you'll see all of today's projects as well as all of projects we've posted in the past. And there's some really fun ones this week, like more than we have time to talk about on the show today. So I had to handpick just my favorite ones, but they're all really great. So you should always check out the blog for more information about the projects we talk about in this segment. This is Carl's show and tell project. You saw Carl on the show and tell. What is this, Phil?
Yeah, he did a really neat diffusion behind clothing, and it was, I believe, laser cut on top of latex or rubbery-like material, and it actually has a really beautiful effect.
Super cool.
It was mesmerizing.
There's some neopixels behind there.
Yeah, with like a little cat skull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So check that out on the blog.
Okay.
This is a first Flora project by Adafruit forum user Jop de Vries, who I'm going to hope is Dutch. Please be Dutch. Made this really cute, modded up this cute little girl's coat for his daughter. It uses the sparkle skirt code, so it flashes your favorite colors when the accelerometer moves. As you can see, it looks adorable on any young thing.
Okay.
Cool. Nice work for a first Flora project. Not bad.
Yeah, nice job.
Here's another.
I see these every week.
Yeah, another tiara.
Yeah.
People laughed at me when I wanted to make a tiara for a project, but you know what? Lots of people like the tiara project. It's fun for digital princesses of all ages, including ones who are about to get married. This is a bachelorette tiara from somebody on Instructables. I'm wearing that to my bachelorette party. I know that.
All right, this next one I really like. We finally have some cat wearables.
Oh yeah. So this was on Wired. Phil sent this to me. It uses a spark core and a battery and a cat to map your neighborhood Wi-Fi and like suss out insecurely secured Wi-Fi networks with your cat.
Yeah, go for it, cat. Yeah, cool.
I like to put a disclaimer on pet projects like this with lithium polymer batteries to be very careful and don't make them your first project because you might burn your cat. And if you send your cat off into the wilderness and then your battery shorts out and your cat catches on fire, the cat can't help himself.
Hacker cat's not gonna catch on fire.
But this is a great project. If you're an advanced electronics person, please make this project and map your neighborhood Wi-Fi using your cat. Nobody will suspect the cat.
All right, what's this?
This is another amazing high concept wearable from whose name I always butcher. Bersha Oskan. She's Turkish or I met her at the Engadget event, so I don't feel that bad about mispronouncing her name.
And those little leaves like fall off?
Yeah, they're falling off. You'll remember her she made that feather dress where like when you point north and south, the feathers on the dress like rise and fall, like really subtle compass-like action. This one is a deciduous dress that sheds its leaves. And it uses,
That's
It
cool.
uses nitinol, or sorry, not shape memory alloy, the other kind, nichrome wire, the kind that gets hot when you put current through it. And the leaves are attached to it with a little bit of wax. So when it heats up, the wax melts and it drops the leaves. I think it looks very beautiful, very poetic.
Yeah, that's clever.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have a video this week that you're doing, aren't you?
Yes, this is our debut project today. It is the textile potentiometer hoodie. And so we can watch the video and then talk more about it after.
Okay, let's do that.
This is a textile potentiometer. It's a knit analog sensor that lets you add a slide actuator to your wearables projects. And today we're going to use it to control the color of some neopixels on this hoodie. You can pick up a sewable Gemma microcontroller and other supplies for this project at Adafruit.com. The yarn in the sensor has a high resistance that Gemma can measure with its analog input. The charm moves along its length, changing the amount of yarn connected to the input. To get started, use conductive thread to connect the potentiometer to Gemma's power, ground, and analog input, like this. You can find a complete circuit diagram for this project, as well as step-by-step instructions and sample code on the Adafruit Learning System. The link is in the description. The simple Arduino sketch is easy to modify for your own wearable projects. After testing your sensor, you can stitch up a chain of neopixels and swap out the code to control the colors. What would you make with this fun sensor? Let us know in the comments, and if you have questions, leave those there too, and I'll tackle them every week on our live wearables show right here on YouTube. Thanks so much for watching, and subscribe for more wearable electronics from Adafruit.
All right, there we go.
This is a really fun project, huh? I like it.
Tell me more.
Tell you more.
Yeah.
So we have had these sensors in the store for a little while. I met the plug-and-wear people in Italy when I was in Rome for Open Hardware Summit.
Yeah.
And they're a textile mill a family-run textile mill that's been inherited by an electrical engineer. And
That's
he's
nice.
been designing, using all of their very fancy knitting machines to use some cool conductive yarns and materials, not fibers. There's like very thin stainless steel wires, very thin tin-plated copper wires inside some of the textiles they've been making. This is the first product we're carrying, and we're working on some other stuff with them that should be pretty cool coming down the line. But this is a really fun, simple project. If you know how to sew, but you've never done any electronics before, this is a really good first wearables project. I wouldn't recommend it as the first sewing project for electronics nerds who want to get into wearables, because it's got a lot of sewing of the neopixels, and it does offer some alternatives. You don't have to use the sewable neopixels. You could use a strip of neopixels and make like Cylon glasses that get controlled by the slider. The sensor itself doesn't have to have a lot of sewing done to it, so that's my 2 cents about who should be making this project. Good for kids because there's no soldering. Fun, super fun to make.
All right, well, if you wanted to save some money buying some of the components, use the code hoodie.
Do you want to look at I have the demo sensor on the overhead if you want
let's
to check it out.
Let's do that.
Yeah. So I made this little, this is our sample. So they have it on their site in many colors. So if you want a different color and you live in Europe, you could get it really easily because they're out of Italy, but we only have the gray one in the store for now, but the sample I have is red. So it's attached to ground and 3 volts, so power and ground, and it's a highly resistive yarn mixed in with the regular yarn that's comprising this ribbon. Then the moving slider, there's this charm here that very tightly grips the ribbon here, and then on the other side, the other end of the ribbon is tied to it. And then that one is connected to the analog input. So as you move this along, obviously a different resistance between power and ground is being delivered to the analog input, and that's how it senses. And we have it just here mapping like 0 to 1024 to 0 to 255
Yeah.
in Phil B's color wheel function for NeoPixel. So,
Yeah.
so it's just going, all the way through all the colors. It won't be white; it'll just be all the colors. But
Yeah.
we made a very simple sketch for this project. So if you check out the tutorial at the link in the description, it's a very simple sketch. So if you're new to coding, it's going to be friendly to you. Just uses a little bit of math. If you know some color theory, a tiny bit of math, and some sewing, this is a really good beginner project.
Okay. Next up, component of the week.
It's not the sensor because we already did this sensor as component of the week, but we do have the sensors. You can get 10% off the $6.95 sensor in the store. Today's component of the week is a new product. It is the addressable cool and warm white WS2812s.
Yeah.
It's like a NeoPixel, but it's just white. And they're addressable, and you can control their brightness and their on-offness. So that means, you know how like when you want to make white with the RGB NeoPixels, you have to put the R, the G, and the B LEDs on all the way, and especially on some cameras and stuff, they don't look white; they look flashy.
Yeah.
So these are true white, true warm white, true cool white, two different products that will, I think, help us make some really elegant projects, right? So like a snowflake sweater that has an animating snowflake graphic.
Also, when Lamore and I were in Tokyo, some of the architecture there, they have access to all of the technology you need. Just because you can do, RGB LED stuff, it doesn't necessarily mean that's the best accent.
It can get tacky real quickly.
Yeah, it can. And so we actually saw this a long time ago. And we thought about it. Wouldn't it be really cool to have addressable warm and cool LEDs? And just recently it happened.
Yeah.
And so I think we'll see a lot of really cool art projects, lots of sculpture, lots of just like really like kind of elegant designs that use the ranges of a cool white or a warm white LED.
Mm-hmm. Do you think we're going to make sewable pixels out of these?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, like if it was up to me, everything would be black and white anyways. So.
Yeah. Anyway, those are cool. You can pick up those surface mount LEDs in the store.
Yeah.
You can get 10% off of them today.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. We got that code.
I would like the sewable ones.
Okay.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Tools.
Know what I mean?
We love. I
get
hear
your
you
Monty-
loud
your
and
Monty
clear.
Python?
I know. I know this lady that might be able to do that. All right. So the component of the week this week, I guess, is a pile of scissors.
We're going to play a scissor game
All right.
where you give me a pair of scissors and I tell you what I might use it for.
Okay.
Since I have a lot of scissors and we don't have a lot of time.
Okay. Becky, what do I use this for?
These scissors I actually used to cut up today's giveaway question askers. I use these scissors for paper and also for loaning to friends because they are junky. They come from IKEA.
Okay. What about these, Becky? What do you use?
Ooh, these are nice scissors. I got these from when I worked at Make. We did a Garrett Wade tool evaluation setup, and so these are pattern making scissors or dressmaker scissors. They're good for mid-weight fabrics and lightweight fabrics because they're not as heavy as like we'll do a comparison. I'll cheat a little bit. They're compared to these scissors, which are better for heavyweight fabrics since they'll hold their weight to the table more and gravity will help you cut the heavy fabric. These are made by Ginger. These are more for lightweight fabrics, not for paper, and neither of these are for loaning to friends.
What are these little scissors? Is this for Tyrannosaurus Rex or something?
Yes.
With those little tiny hands?
These scissors are perfect for bringing on an airplane. Did you know that you can bring scissors with blades under 4 inches with you on an airplane?
Those are airplane scissors.
And you know what scissors have? Some of these other scissors that we're showing today do have blades under 4 inches. However, they might stab into your bag and like mess up the rest of your stuff in your purse. So these have nice, like they're pretty blunt on the end and they're small. So I use these usually for knitting on the plane. Like I have my knitting bag with my scissors and my yarn needle and my knitting needle. So these are for travel. They're not super sharp, but they do in a bind. I can cut conductive thread with them. So these are my travel scissors.
Okay. How about these scissors, Becky?
These, I put them in there because they're not scissors. And I wanted to tell you that they're not, but you can use them to cut things like scissors. These are aviation snips, AKA aircraft shears, AKA sheet metal.
Could you bring
cutters.
those on a plane?
No.
So you can't bring the aviation...
No, because they're for cutting airplanes.
For cutting airplanes, but you can bring those scissors.
They're actually for cutting sheet metal, and airplanes are made out of sheet metal, so like you cut like curves out of sheet metal. They're very sharp. They're very good for gutters, sheet metal, stuff like that. They're not scissors though, and I wanted to tell you that.
Okay. What about these?
These we use for cutting conductive fabric here in the Adafruit shop. There's our nice Fiskars Comfort Grip scissors with a spring-loaded action. So, and I do have to sharpen these regularly to cut conductive
Where do you get them
fabric.
sharpened?
At the sharpening place on 21st Street.
Okay.
Sometimes usually a knife sharpening place, like a nice kitchen store, will often sharpen. Any place that sharpens knives will also sharpen scissors. You can send them away if you live in a really rural place where nobody will sharpen your scissors. And these have a spring-loaded action, so that when you're doing a repetitive task, cutting a lot, you don't have to wear out the muscles in your hands by opening and closing the scissors. You just have to close them. The opening is taken care of by the spring. So these are very comfortable to use for the workers here in the factory.
Yeah. Okay. What about these?
These are my favorite conductive thread sharp snippers, so I try to get into really small places with these since they're really pointy and sharp. These are airplane legal, even though they can clearly be used as a weapon. Thanks, TSA laws, rules. They're under 4 inches long, but they're very sharp and pointy, so I don't like to tend to take them with me because they stab out of my craft bag and into the rest of my purse. I tend not to loan these out.
What about these?
These are for loaning out, and I don't really use these very much, actually. I buy scissors in bulk for, sometimes I'll do workshops, and so I want, a lot of scissors to be able to pass around a room.
Okay.
Not my favorite.
I use these for my favorite game, spin the scissors.
Spin the scissors.
Ready? Oh, someone's going to get a stabbing. Okay.
Stabbing? You mean, nice craft made for him or her?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I travel in some pretty rough circles.
Okay. Where you play spin the scissors?
These open source people, they're hardcore. This is a glass eye. Anyways, so what about these?
These are the super scissors we carry in the Adafruit shop. These are really great for the conductive, stainless conductive ribbon we have in the store that's quite difficult to cut. Also, here in the factory, we use a pair of these to cut the stainless steel conductive fiber that we sell, the felting fiber, which comes in like a little hank and you have to cut it apart. These are really good for that. These are close to the aviation shears in terms of they're very durable, very sharp, can cut through heavy materials and wires and stuff, but yeah, they're good all-purpose scissors and the only one in the bunch that you can pick up in the Adafruit shop. So
wow, that was a scissor journey.
Those are my scissors. I wanted to show them to you. Show and tell scissor time.
Okay.
It's kind of like
it's
Brittany's fondue for two on Glee, but it's with scissors.
This is.
You need to watch more television.
Yeah, I'm playing spin the scissors while you're watching TV. Question and answers every week. Becky answers questions, and where do you find most of these questions?
Usually they're on YouTube, so you guys ask. Either during the show you ask questions in the comments, or after the show's been archived you post questions in the comments. Also questions in the comments of other wearables videos on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Primarily it's YouTube comments. However, I'd also find questions on Twitter, on the Google Plus event for the show, either before or after the show. And on the Adafruit blog, you can leave a comment there. And also in the Adafruit forum, sometimes I'll grab a question from there.
Yeah. We're almost up to 100,000 people in the makers, artists, hackers, engineers community
on Google Plus.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And congratulations! Just before we get into the questions, 14 million views on the YouTube channel.
We do. We have 14 million views. We're not quite to 100,000 subscribers yet. So if you like the show and you want to help us reach our goals, because I know I want to help you reach your wearable electronics goals, you should subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then we'll have 14 million views and 100,000 subscribers, which gets us a present.
What I found is if you have friends and family and relatives and you help fix their computers, just go ahead and make Adafruit the homepage and subscribe to all the Adafruit channels, because it'll be trust us, the internet is kind of a rough place. This is a safe place. Okay, so let's get to some questions.
Yeah.
First one. This is from Comatose Duck. I just like reading the name sometimes. Quick Gemma question. I really want to power it with those nifty Sobel coin cell batteries, but I'm not sure if it's possible and don't know how. Thanks for shedding some light on this. My use is to power 18 neopixels.
Okay, so Comatose Duck wants to power 18 sewable neopixels with Gemma and the sewable coin cell battery holders. Not going to happen. Reason you can't find out how to do it is because we don't have a tutorial that would recommend that course of action. Even with we do have a battery holder that can power Gemma with the coin cells, and it's the 2 coin cell battery holder with the on-off switch and the JSD connector. That's your best bet for a coin cell solution. However, it only can deliver enough juice to power 4 or 5 neopixels for the first half of a party before you have to switch the batteries. The sewable ones, everything to power Gemma needs to go through the JST battery connector, so you're not going to use those sewable holders for powering Gemma. You can use it just to wire directly to the LED sequence, though, if you want.
Okay. Quick side question, because it came up in the chat, and it's not going to make sense to send it as a question.
Yeah.
What's the name of that company that makes the conductive potentiometer stuff?
Plug and Wear.
Plug and Wear.
I did.
No, they did. They just didn't catch it.
Oh, okay, great. I wanted to make sure that I didn't forget to mention them because they're very nice. Plug and Wear.
And if you were to search for it in one word, it'd probably turn up in Google or something, right?
Yeah, or if you just click the link in the description to the project, it's linked right there.
You can do that too.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Okay.
They make lots of fun stuff.
This one. Hello, Becky. Can you possibly add an in-depth tutorial for a NeoPixel Jewel? I recently purchased one in my addition to the 16 NeoPixel ring, but there are very few actual tutorials on how to program the Jewel individually. Oh, there's a surprise for you.
Samantha, so NeoPixels are all the same. It's just the orientation of them on the board. So we wouldn't, while I would take your suggestion and would love to do some more tutorials featuring the NeoPixel Jewels, like some jewelry or a headband, please feel free to suggest what you'd like to see me make with it. Programming it is no different than any other NeoPixel. So if you take a look at Phil B's excellent NeoPixel Uber guide on the Adafruit Learning System, you'll learn all about the code library and the built-in functions that come with the code library, including a few different color selection functions and a few different animation functions that'll get you started. And from there, you can start to code your NeoPixels on your own. And it's just gonna, when you connect just the Jewel to a Trinket or any of your Arduino compatibles, it's gonna be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and those are gonna be the addresses of the LEDs on the Jewel. And if you connect it after a ring or after a strip, it's gonna be those that that index later. So it's no different than coding any other NeoPixels. I will take it under advisement to try to do more projects with the Jewel, but programming them, you don't need any special instructions from me. Any NeoPixel project that we have, like the one for the bracelet here with the NeoPixel rings or the glasses, you can run any of that code on the Jewel and see how it works and then modify it to get the effect you want.
Okay. Can use conductive threaded sewing machine. I especially think about it in a computer-controlled embroidering sewing machine. My project would be making a functional NE555 t-shirt.
Gee, John, I'm so glad you asked. We have a tutorial about that on the Adafruit Learning System. Please check it out.
It's as if you've
thought of this before.
Yeah.
It's as if someone has asked me this question before. However, in a computer-controlled embroidery machine, sometimes, so yes, use the 2-ply, put it in the bobbin only. Don't put it in the needle. So I have seen my students at SVA have used the conductive thread in their computer-controlled embroidery machine with mixed results. Sometimes it works great. Sometimes it gets all jammed up because it's not as flexible or as flowy, like it sticks a little bit because it's made out of metal only. So get the 2-ply, try it, and let me know how it goes.
Okay.
Read the tutorial about the conductive thread.
This one, great show. I have a crafty question for Becky. You mentioned the glue E6000 before. I'm curious why you like it.
I love E6000. It's great. If you remember, we did a segment about my favorite adhesives.
Yeah, we had glues.
A while back. I don't know, but if you look it up on our YouTube channel, adhesives, there's a segment all about adhesives and why I like all the different ones. E6000 specifically is my favorite for most, because it's my go-to. I use it for most things. So it's good for fabric, for wood, for metal, for plastics, for 3D printed parts. It can even sort of sometimes stick to silicone a tiny bit, but not really.
Okay.
It dries clear and flexible, so that has an advantage to me over, say, a super glue, which dries clear and inflexible. So it's brittle. If you drop it or you shear it, it might break off. And the E6000 has a little bit of play to it when it's dry, even a little bit more than hot glue. So E6000 is what you mainly should be using when you think you want to use hot glue. However, there are some very specific cases when you wouldn't use E6000 and you would use hot glue, and that's so like in the NeoPixel ring goggles project, for example, you want to put the rings in the lenses and make them stay immediately, and that's where hot glue is great because it cools very quickly and is done, whereas E6000 takes a whole day to dry. It also has it's a little fumey, so you shouldn't really work with it with little kids because it's not good to touch your skin and it smells bad. So for grown-up, real-life projects where you want stuff to actually stay together, use E6000.
For E6000 for fully formed adults.
Fully formed adults. And I like, the picture I'm showing you here is from the Amazon product that I like the best, which is the multi-pack of tiny tubes of E6000. Better than the giant tube of one because whenever I'm making a video, I want to show you that I'm using E6000, but I don't want to show you like a gummy, gross, half-used giant tube of E6000.
Okay.
So I use like a fresh tube almost every time I make a
This is
project.
the photogenic version of the glue.
Well, also if you think your project is more fun to make if your tools are good quality and are in good shape. And if you're that kind of person who doesn't really clean up your glue bottle really well after you're done using it, or you set it on the workplace and it gets glue all over it, or you just have obsessive compulsive disorder, you might not want to use that tube of glue anymore, or the nozzle might get clogged. Whereas like here, it's just enough to use. You don't have to worry about wasting it later, storing it in a drawer. You can just like throw that tube away and use a fresh one next time.
Okay, well, I don't want to get stuck on this topic for too much longer.
See what you did there.
I've got the cure. Let's give away
A Flora?
a Flora.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, here, so I'm going to take the hat.
Sticky subjects we cover here.
You know,
Wearable electronics.
I can't. I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. All right, the people who ask questions, your names are in the hat. So if you want to win a Flora, all you have to do is ask a question that I answer on the show.
Yeah.
It has to be a good enough question that I'll answer it, but most questions that are about wearables, you see I answer. Okay, the winner is... John. So I'm not going to give you any conductive thread, but you get a Flora.
Okay.
Congratulations. John Knutson. If you would please email support@adafruit.com to claim your prize, a Flora, we will mail that right out to you.
That's right. If you didn't win, that's okay.
You can still get 10% off your order using code HOODIE.
Every time you buy something, it makes you feel better, so you can save.
Retail therapy.
Yeah.
You could buy your own materials to make your soft potentiometer hoodie,
Okay. So
or anything else that you want besides EagleCAD or gift certificates.
we're not done today with.
No, there's more stuff that goes on later tonight.
That's right.
This is just, it's great for Europe that my show is on in the middle of the
this is the warm-up.
afternoon.
This is the warm-up.
Because fashion happens in Europe, so we
Yeah.
need to have our show in the afternoon. Also, I've
So-
got stuff to do later, like watch the show and tell.
Yeah.
So if you have a project, like a wearables project, say, for example, I don't know, maybe, or any electronics project, you can bring it to the Google Plus Show and Tell Hangout every Wednesday at 7:30. All you have to do is comment on the Google Plus event to ask to be added to the circle. Then you'll be invited every week to the Show and Tell Hangout on air.
Yeah.
You can show off your project. It's a fun party. You can hang out with Phil and Mrs. Lady Ada and the Ruiz brothers and sometimes Phil B and sometimes Tony DeCola. And
Yeah.
it's a party, and it's a really fun way to document your project if you haven't yet, or celebrate your recent success on finishing an electronics project. And then after that at 8 o'clock is Ask an Engineer,
That's right.
which is
We'll
the
have new
longest
products,
the longest running.
questions. Yeah. We cover the news. We have pie stuff. You name it, we have it.
Yep. Get all caught up on the rest of your non-wearable and wearable electronics news.
And then tomorrow, big news.
Why is it
Always.
big news. Oh, it's always big news.
It's always
right?
big news because there's always like a new 3D printer or like who knows.
I can't handle so much new information. Every Thursday is the live 3D show with Noe and Pedro Ruiz, and it's chock full of information. It's got a cool project. It's got a lesson in CAD, so I know I learn a lot about designing for 3D printing in software, and they're just fun guys to hang out with. So don't miss that tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Okay. Well, guess what? That's the show, Becky.
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope that you learned something, and I hope that you will ask me some questions so that I have something to talk about next week on the show. I wanted to do a new segment where I help people workshop their project ideas, Phil.
Yeah.
So some questions are like, hey, can I put conductor thread in the sewing machine? And some questions are like, hey, Becky, I want to make this Halloween costume, and it does this and this and this and this, and what would that involve? I thought maybe it would be fun to do a new segment about workshopping a project proposal.
Yeah.
I don't know what to call it, though. So if you have some suggestions about what that segment could be called, let me know.
Controlling chaos.
I was thinking Becky's free consulting minute, but that's a little bit cheesy.
What's
also.
the thing on the cartoon Peanuts where Lucy, you have to pay her a penny and she'll give you advice or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. She has like a lemonade stand.
Yeah, it could just be like
Psychiatric advice.
Becky's advice for your workshop.
Advice.
project.
And it's kind of like what I do for my students at SVA. Like when they have a project idea, I tell them like, what to avoid, what to look out for, some parts to use, some techniques to look at, some tutorials that might help. So I don't know. Workshopping projects?
Yeah.
I'm crowdsourcing it.
Maximizing your potential.
There you go. Maximizing your potential with Becky Stern.
It's a
That's my
motivation.
motivational YouTube channel. It's over.
Yeah.
It's a different channel.
Seize the moment.
It's all about putting kale in your smoothies and reading while you're on the subway.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it. We'll see everybody next week.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye-bye.